Hello, I'm Adriana. I'm a Master SoulPath Teacher and Guide. This is a reading today for the collective about what relationships are teaching us right now. This last, I don't want to do the math right now, but I'm going to say about a year has really been spotlighted on the Libra South Node, Aries North Node. If you don't know what that means, that's okay. But it is a time when we've been really confronted with our shadow, our negative relationship patterns, especially regarding codependence, people pleasing, keeping too much harmony at the expense of ourselves, worrying about what other people think, being unwilling to charge forward with our own path. So that's something we've all been confronting. And if you happen to have a natal Aries North Node, Libra South Node, so if you were born kind of in the 1986, 1987 area, then this also may be very strong for you. There are other time periods with this, but that's the one that's in my head right now. So, and also keep in mind, I just have to say this to be nitpicky, if you were born in 86 or 87, you still need to consult an astrologer or look at your chart to see specifically, because the nodes are every 18 months, not 2 years. So just want to say that. But anyway, let's get to the message. All right. What are relationships teaching us right now? What's the big message? We're also going to look at, we're just going to see where this takes us, I think. Actually, I think this is going to come apart or kind of come out in an interesting way that has not happened before. I think we're actually going to be, I'm going to be reading a couple different relationships under the same spiritual lesson. So I think that's where we're headed, but let's just see. Okay, Knight of Wands, which is perfect Aries energy, 6 of Pentacles, and the 10 of Wands. Okay, so what our relationships are teaching us right now are how to balance, counterbalance the expression of the self with what we feel are our duties or what we feel are our responsibilities. And I would say that for most of us, those duties and responsibilities are overdone. 10 of Wands, they're heavy. They may feel like a burden. This is interesting. It's about knowing what you're responsible for and holding up that responsibility really strongly. And the Knight of Wands is that pioneer, that pushing forward, that courageous leaping into the unknown with lots of bravery, expressing themselves totally honestly without any hesitation or guile. That's what the Knight of Wands is. This is pure courage, pure bravery, expressing the life force or the vitality or the self in a way that is unapologetic and is totally self-convicted. Like, I'm sure I need to do this. I'm going this direction. I'm not even paying attention to the doubters or the naysayers. It's just going for it. And so it's knowing what the self wants and being really willing to take responsibility for it, not blaming someone else or relying on someone else to say what your life choices should be. Because when we acquiesce to what we think, when we acquiesce to what they think we should be doing, we can always blame them if it doesn't work out, right? That's not a very empowered way to go through life, but that's what a lot of us are either fighting or learning how to overcome. I'm not picking on one sign or another. If you have a lot of Gemini energy in your chart, I see this as a pattern with the shadow Geminis that sometimes they battle with indecision so much that they'll wait and wait and wait for someone else to make a decision or figure out what they're supposed to do, so that when it doesn't work out, they'll like turn around and betray the other person. They'll blame the other person. Well, this is your fault. It doesn't matter that they agreed to it. They forget that. They step out of that and they say, no, this is your fault. Shadow Libra can do the same thing. The light side of the Gemini would say, oh, okay, well, this is an adventure. I guess we're choosing this adventure, and whatever we figure out, we're going to learn something from. Whatever we go through, we're going to learn something from. So that would be like the Gemini taking responsibility for whatever happens in the adventure, whatever happens in the choice. And Libra, Libras will struggle with, well, what the other person wants, I want too, because if we want the same thing, we'll be on the same page, we'll have harmony. And so again, if it doesn't work out, then Libra may turn around and blame the other person. Or if the other person is disappointed by the experience, Libra may feel disappointed too. So that type of energy is not being responsible for its own feelings. So on one hand, the Ten of Wands is saying, we've taken on too much. We've taken on false responsibilities. We've taken on false duties or things that truly aren't within our domain. And in doing that, we have neglected our own responsibility and we're out of balance, the Six of Pentacles. We need to come back into balance between the giving and receiving. Giving to the full expression of ourself, and then receiving the consequences for what we do. This is a side note, but I don't know if you've heard about the white buffalo calf that has been spotted in Yellowstone. That's exactly the legend that is illustrated here on the Six of Pentacles card, that the white buffalo calf is going to be reborn into the herd. It's a very mystical, spiritual kind of moment, as far as I understand it. I'm totally an outsider with this, but it seems like the white buffalo calf is like a message of hope, but it is also it's like a judgment day kind of message where we're really forced to look at our choices, what we're doing to each other, what we're doing to the earth, how our interconnectedness is being affected. And so at this time, I feel like that is a really relevant message. So show me, I know there's a couple different relationship patterns you want me to take this through. So show me what's going on, please. I'm going to ask for a couple, actually. So that's one example. Can you show me another example? Okay. This is very interesting. Because in both of these sets, it looks like one or the other partner's energy is actually externally turned, whereas the other one is internally turned. Okay. All right, I'm going to put you guys to this side for a second so I can focus on these. Okay, our feminine energy is the Four of Wands. So if you are the more feminine partner, this is you, Four of Wands. Okay, you as the feminine energy are feeling quite quite joyful and quite happy with where things are. There's a lighthearted, playful energy to this card, and you feel like you're in a good place. You feel like things have come to a good place and that they're starting to mesh together and flower together. Now, your other half, that's funny that I would say that, but the masculine is in the Two of Swords. They're trying to sort out what's going on between their inner and their outer self. They may not really have eyes for the relationship at the moment. I feel like that's okay with you because you're really happy with where things are. But the Two of Swords is really, this does feel like they're at a crossroads in their own development. And so, in this type of situation, coming off of the spiritual lesson template that we started with, you are not responsible for pushing them through that lesson or for when they get that lesson, when they go through this transformation. The Four of Cups is saying, give space to both sides. Be responsible for your own foundation. Be responsible for yourself. Don't worry about what is happening with them, whether they're trying to figure out who they are or what they want from the relationship. Let that be and come into that really inward place. So Okay, I think I'm starting to see this a little differently actually. Because the other one, because you feel you've accomplished something, you're at a good stage, the other one is still trying to figure this out. We have this stasis between you, the Four of Cups. And so it's like, what are you responsible for? Are you responsible for pushing the relationship forward? Are you responsible for pushing yourself forward? What are you responsible for? You're responsible for yourself. Allowing yourself to come to the next level of what you're trying to achieve. And I saw a blue heron this morning, actually, with my partner. And so it's funny, there are two blue herons on this Four of Cups card. And herons I love because they're about being your own crazy, authentic, different self, marching to the beat of your own drum. And the two herons on the card are facing each other. So it's like you're both exploring your individuality. You're both exploring how you're different. So we're not worried so much about blending right now. We're focused on individual development. And I think that's okay, because the advice here is to give space to that individual development. You're on parallel paths right now. Your paths aren't touching. That's okay. You're on parallel paths though. Okay, I want to move on to the other relationship, and I feel like we're going to be looking at a third. Three of Cups, is that still the feminine? Yes. The Moon in the middle and the Nine of Cups. Okay. I'm really curious why it's cloudy between the two of you. Three of Cups is feminine energy, is starting to become really expressive and joyful. So you may have found some of your people, or you may have experienced these moments of pure joy where you feel like things have come together to support you, or maybe you feel part of a supportive community. It just seems like there's a lot of magic kind of opening up for you. And there's also a strong, even though this is the feminine energy, there's an even stronger sense. So I feel like you're becoming even more in tune with your feminine side, understanding the cycles of things, when it's time to rest, when it's time to move forward, when it's time to listen, when it's time to talk, when it's time to just wait. There's a really nice support that's happening with this Three of Cups card. Your partner on the other side is Nine of Cups, and they are really focused on a wish that they have. So again, I see you focus more on the outside if you're the feminine. You're focused more on the outside if you're the masculine. You're focused more on the inside. What is your heart's desire? What are you trying to manifest from life? And it seems the Moon being between you, it's not clear how you're relating to each other right now. It's not clear that you're on the same path, or are you even on the same path? And can you clarify the Moon for me? Five of Pentacles. Okay, so it doesn't feel like there's a lot between you. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of glue holding this together. However, okay, I'm at a little conflict with myself here, so just give me a second, because usually the Moon in astrology talks about the emotional flow between the two. So I'm not understanding why in this reading the Moon is the disconnect. Okay, well maybe that will come out in a second. So how does this fit into our Knight of Wands, Ten of Wands with the Six of Pentacles in the middle? How does this fit into our advice? Some of when you're so fulfilled by whatever's going on, and when I'm talking you, when the feminine is so fulfilled by the external, it's almost as if they forget about the partner. And what's going on with the partner doesn't even cross their mind. Now, the masculine, What is the masculine thinking here? Okay, the masculine is also focused on his own heart's desire. And so this is really strange. Even though we've got all these cups and the moon in between, it doesn't feel like it's coming together in a flow. So I'm seeing this in both these relationships here, that there doesn't seem to be a coming together right now, because this time is about the individuals figuring themselves out. This time is about, what do I want and what can I be responsible for? This is the period of separation before coming together, coming back together, because if we don't know what we each want, there can be no blending, there can be no compromise. It's a good example. If you haven't really figured out what you want and the other person has a strong idea, you may end up just going along with them, but never really engaging with your heart's desire, and therefore not really bringing yourself to the relationship, not really bringing your voice and your participation. If you're always just going along with the other person, you're really not collaborating with them. You're acquiescing to them, but you're not collaborating. Collaborating and building and integrating means each side brings a different perspective. And then you start to get to see how to weave it together. Where's the commonality? If there's any disagreements, how do we work that out? But it comes from two very strong individual people. So I trained as a classical pianist for many years, and one of my teachers in grad school was part of a husband and wife piano duo, and they were so funny. And they were like perfect yin and yang. She was very instinctive and intuitive, and she'd just sit down and say, oh, the music goes like this, and she would just play. She just knew. And he was a very rational, analytical, who would sit there analyzing the harmonies and analyzing the phrase structure, and he would say, well, logically it has to go to here, and logically it has to go to here. She really didn't use any logic when she sat down with a piece of music. She just felt it. So her way worked best for tangos because she just felt. Well, they went to play a certain piece by Brahms, and they argued constantly because Brahms is very logical, as well as just kind of, there's an intuitive melody in a lot of his pieces that comes out of the harmony. But she felt it should go one way. He analytically thought it should go another way, and they fought about every single phrase. Usually one would acquiesce to the other depending on the repertoire. He got more of a say if it was more analytical. She got more of a say if it was intuitive, spontaneous, emotional. But Brahms is kind of a mix between the two, and they fought every way, but it was their strongest performance. They both felt that it was their strongest performance together. So being able to navigate conflict because you understand where you're coming from, it actually strengthens a partnership. It creates something that's much stronger. And I see with both of these situations, that's what's going on. We are strengthening the individual so that the partnership can become stronger, that when we come back together, we're no longer the weak partner, but we are the strong participatory partner. Do you want to show me one more relationship? Okay, we're going to look at one more. Two of Pentacles, Ace of Swords. This is a new relationship. Seven of Cups. Oh, weird. Okay, interesting. So this is, yeah, like I'm saying, this is a very young relationship, and I feel like one of you, most likely the masculine energy, is trying to ignore it or trying to push against it. Like it's not there, or I'm not really feeling this connection. I'm not really feeling that we've got this special thing. And that kind of resistance that the other person is putting up is causing the feminine energy, the Two of Pentacles, to kind of go back and forth about, yeah, I really want to be with him. No, actually, no, I'm okay by myself. Don't really want to be with him. Yes, I want to be with him. No, I really don't need to. There, again, this tension between the two. Okay, not talking about change. But what the Ace of Swords being in the middle is a strange card to be pulling the two together, but they're not, you guys aren't seeing eye to eye, and you're not seeing the truth about the connection that's there. Okay, this is going in a different direction altogether. 5 of Cups and the 9 of Pentacles. So we're afraid of losing our individuality. So this is kind of the reverse problem. So I'm wondering if this is would this be with the reverse node? Okay, just keep going. So there is a fear of losing the independence, of losing the autonomy and the freedom that being alone can bring. And there's also a fear that you're going to lose power. One or both of you doesn't like to compromise, and you really don't like, it's like my way or no way, or my way or the highway. But most likely my way or no way. And so for you, being involved with someone means that you have to give up some of that autocratic way of looking at life. You don't get a say on all the decisions. And so are they supposed to come together? I mean, what's really going on here? The short-sighted distractions from your egos are really obscuring the true purpose of what this relationship is about. Okay, so this is a case where the autonomy is being carried too far. So this is really reverse from what we talked about. The autonomy is being carried too far. And these two are really holding themselves back from a possibility of growth and change. So how does this relate to our responsibility, our 10 of Wands? Because I do feel that there's a connection here. How does this work? When we're choosing, oh, I see, okay. So there's a lack of responsibility for feelings. There's a lack of responsibility for how both of you actually feel towards each other. And the Ace of Swords also is telling me that you're approaching this very much in your head. So I don't know whether you're like weighing the pros and cons, or just getting yourself really tied up in what ifs or possibilities. It's being navigated with the head and not the heart. So there's a lack of responsibility for your feelings. So where do we go from here? All right. So this card is all about feeling the warmth that emanates from the heart, that feels the joy of an open heart and the playfulness. Let's take this a little bit lighter, okay? So let's really, the sun is also shining a light on what has been hidden. And I do think that actually the two of you are incredibly similar in your fear of commitment, incredibly similar in your fear of letting go of your single life, or of your life that is apart from someone else. But the sun is trying to help you see yourself in the other, see the other in yourself, and know that what you truly want is to have a very heart-centered life, to have a very open, expansive, loving heart. The sun is about connecting with your joy, what you love to do, what brings you creativity and pleasure. And its association with Leo also talk about the joy of the inner child. So you don't have to figure out so much where this relationship is going or headed, but it's about being very honest with your feelings as they unfold. When you're so in charge of your life, 9 of Pentacles here, sometimes you're not really allowing yourself to be taken places. You're taking yourself places, but to let your feelings guide you to one step and the next is a foreign concept. So, for instance, I knew a woman once who had her whole wedding planned out. She just needed a groom. So she knew the flowers, she knew the menu, she knew the dress, she knew everything she wanted, but she needed the man. And to me, that's like sorting life out just with your mind. It's not, oh, okay, this person looks interesting. Let's see what happens if we spend time together. I feel really comfortable around them and I feel really energized. I think I'd like to spend more time. And then after a while, maybe, I feel like we have a lot of different values that we really can't see eye to eye on. So I'm glad I went on this adventure, but it's time to part ways. Or, you know what? I really think we want kind of the same things. I want to keep seeing where we go. It's like you're having to spontaneously make up the next steps. And for you, who's been in charge of every aspect of your life, you don't get to do that here. There's a lot of unknown. There's a lot of don't know. But that's the joy of the sun's creative energy. It just keeps unfolding. It keeps growing. And no matter what happens, you're going to learn about yourself. But here, it's the balance between responsibility for your feelings and the willfulness of what you want. So be sure that you're not getting caught up in where you think you want it to go. Be really clear about what you're feeling and make sure that you're not trying to force your next steps or force the other person. Just be clear, give space, and communicate. Again, Ace of Swords, communicate. Because not only are you very much on the same page, but you are both willing to talk if one of you opens up the door. Right? It's like you're both waiting for the other person to say something. And one of you has to, right? So if you're the one watching this video, you have to say something. You have to start it because you're going to be met with understanding. You're going to be met with the person at the same place. But again, someone's going to start. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this interesting reading. I didn't know we were going that direction, but it's always very fun to share these moments with you. If you'd like a reading, please go to soulguidancewithAdriana.com. I have intuitive tarot readings, also astrology readings, and mentorship opportunities. So if you're really looking for someone who can help you through your shadow stuff to understand what the spiritual journey is like, please do check it out. Again, all the offerings are on soulguidancewithAdriana.com, and I'll see you soon.